Smart, forgot mine this morning.
I had to dig it out. I'm sniffling. It was in the basement. I was digging through dust.
Oh,
Is it a tote?
trading one evil for another.
It's not that I have a bunch of them. I just didn't have a clean one. They're clean, but they're kind of beat up. I behave recording. I have a comment.
All right, it's small.
Live streaming. You are ready, Mr. Chairman.
We do have 9 o'clock. Excuse me. Okay, at this time, I'd like to call to order the Isabel County Board of Commissioners Criminal Justice and County Affairs Committee. At this time, is there any additions or subtractions to the agenda as presented?
I have none, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, seeing there's no additions, we'll accept the agenda that's been presented, so. Okay, call to the public. Jake left, we have,
We're losing them.
we're losing him, well, he wants me to go with him tonight, so. It's like, it's a snowstorm, Jake, we'll see.
Could be a memory. There is no one online for
There
public
is no,
comment
that's
this
my
time,
next
Mr.
question, so. At that, I'll close public comment and there will be another opportunity towards the end of the meeting in case somebody shows up or comes online. Okay, first up, consider the fiscal year 2022 state and local cybersecurity grant program, local consent agreement, and authorize the board chair to sign the same, so. We do have Mark online there. You're
How
up,
are you,
sir.
sir? Commissioners, good morning.
Good morning.
So this is a fiscal year 22 state and local cybersecurity grant program. And to start the process and participating and stating that we want it, we have to sign a local consent agreement. This agreement's been reviewed by legal, recommended for the chairman to sign. Information is in your packet. There are 3 options to get money, and I put in for all 3 options to get money. So this will just start it, and we'll see what we can do to improve cybersecurity in the county. As we all know, that is a big problem nowadays.
Okay, yeah. Option C. That's a big one.
Yeah, it is. I'm hoping to get some of it.
So, yep, a lot of money there. Yeah, 100%. There's not much to disagree on this one.
Right.
Unless you want me to, I could be disagreeable today.
Nope. I'll see you again in 2 weeks. I have another issue coming to you guys. You can ask me more questions about that.
I'll save it for them.
Okay.
Thank you, commissioners.
I don't have any more questions. This one's got dried.
I'll make a motion, move this forward to the Board of Commissioners meeting and approve the fiscal year 2022 state and local cyber security grant program local consent agreement.
And I will support that. Is there any more discussion on that issue? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by aye. Aye, opposed, same. The motion has passed and we will move this forward to the work session. So
Thank you for your time this morning, gentlemen. And Adam,
Thank you.
have a great day.
Thanks, Mark.
You too.
Enjoy your day.
okay, next up, we have consider authorizing the Isabella County Public Defenders to fill the position of a misdemeanor level assistant public defender at a higher salary starting than rate based upon the qualifications of the proposed new hire. We have with,
Good morning.
we have with us public defender Hausman.
Yes, so I've never made this request before with our office. But back in September, one of our assistant public defenders who'd been with the office since December of 2019 left to take another opportunity closer to home. He was from Traverse City and frankly was commuting from Traverse City every day. And so he left to take an opportunity closer to home. We had the opportunity to interview somebody back in December. I attached a redacted copy of their resume. They have 8 years of experience as a public defender. Granted, it's in a different jurisdiction, but I think that the experience as doing this job is something you don't see every day, is extremely valuable. And in terms of financial impact, because we're on a fiscal year with our grant, our budget was already set for someone that would have been on, I always have to look, step 4 of the wage scale. And so this would be basically asking to hire them up to that level. So in terms of financial impact with our grant, there wouldn't be any at all, because that money was already budgeted for that same salary. That's about it.
And you'll manage any internal equities of hiring someone up here and internal staff might be here, like you're.
There wouldn't be any. Yeah,
Excellent.
correct.
That helps.
Yep.
That helps, but if there is, you manage it.
Yep.
I guess I need to, if it's budgeted for that, then why can't they hire them at that position point? Tell me.
Oh,
Policy wise, the authority to hire at a start rate or that first
Okay.
step
Okay,
rests with myself, the department heads. I can't hire anyone at a step 1, 2, 3, 4. It's gotta be at that start. It's always been that you come to the Board of Commissioners for that authority.
okay. I spent a lot of time with this weekend trying to decide just because of the timing of it.
Yeah.
mhm.
He's
Really?
doing this appropriate. A lot of
Tough.
times I think they'll come with a specific step. We want to hire at this step.
Yeah,
I feel like you're being maybe vague because you haven't finished negotiating this.
Well, and
Yeah.
part of it is because if you look at the actual grant, what's budgeted, and I printed it out here, it actually says, and it caused some confusion on my end, but I've got it now.
Likely that you're big because you're a lawyer.
No, not at all. What it is if you look at the grant budgeted for that amount for that position actually says 67,000 and change. Whereas what we're asking to hire at is $70,712.93. And the reason for that difference is because the step from the person that left would have occurred in December. So that full amount, 70,000, isn't actually budgeted. It's actually at 67 and change.
But you've had some, we're already 3 months in the year.
Correct.
So you've had lapsed
Correct,
wages. so
exactly.
Budget is not a problem.
Yeah, and that was
The
something
money
I,
is
not-
there.
I'm not-
exactly.
and that's, we'll get it.
But you're like,
I'll
if
let-
the money's there, then why can't he
Yeah.
just do it?
Well, and I really haven't made my mind up. I want to push this forward to the thing, but I'm thinking that just the perception. And I really get tired of having to determine wages. I don't know his department.
Mhm.
And
So maybe
we-
allow that
we're
authority
spending so much
once budgeted.
timing. And I'm not sure if there's another way you could do it. I'm more concerned about the legacy costs, maybe signing bonuses or longevity bonus until we get this thing through here. You know, if you're there for 6 months, you get this bonus here. Just so it doesn't, and this is only, like I said, I have not made my mind up on this or not. I'm not gonna prevent it from going forward on this. But just because we're looking at if the millage and this doesn't go through, we might be having to lay people off, and it's just,
Right.
I just want this, so, you know, we had the last meeting we had with the drain commissioner deal. And like I said, I'm just thinking, I'm not opposed to giving them more money, but I'm opposed to doing a step increase at this time.
Mhm.
But I could be, my mind could change and you got other board members on there, but if you could come up, you're within budget. So if you could figure out, you know, signing bonus or longevity, something to get them up there.
Right,
And
or
then
hire.
after we get
For 6
through
months.
this stuff, then you can bring that back to try to get them.
And I
You
guess,
you understand where I'm coming
Correct,
from?
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
not that I'm
Smart
against
about
it.
it.
I understand our, very surface image
I'm
is
agreeing.
that, but for past employees, we've done it this way many times in the future. And it's also like state requirements, basically,
Mhm.
that we're working with for lawyers that,
Well,
and funded,
it's
right?
different. It's so much
state
different.
requirements and funding.
And we've had this explode because so much of the grant comes through
And
the
we're-
state of Michigan where we're required to do it. it's different than some of the other offices we deal with where we fund 100%.
Right.
Like I said, I haven't made
Yeah.
my mind up yet.
Sure.
And I think.
I understand. I want you to get this person in here. But I'm looking at, and I might get it more than anybody else because in fact, I probably was gonna go to breakfast this morning. Good thing I did because it was snowy, but I've been getting a lot of grief about, a lot of these signs that are coming up are from people that I know.
Okay.
And I put it off. I'll probably do it this week sometime and I'll have to answer to try to get them to back off a little bit on this whole thing. So
Mm.
I'm a little more sensitive on it
Yeah.
than other, but like I said, I haven't made my mind up. I'm willing to listen to the other commissioners and see how they do it, and I'm not gonna block this from going forward.
I think there's a couple of things in terms of, doing.
And I understand
siding.
your position. It's not,
Yeah.
I don't support it. I'm just trying to get to the longer picture of, if the mills doesn't go through, we're gonna be, it's just, we need to put a stop on everything until we figure out where we're going, but
And I
if you're within your, and that's another, sorry.
No, you're fine.
I'm on a roll. so-
No, you're all right.
And it's something I've been promoting for years, ever since I've been on this board, is that department heads have to control their budget a little bit more, and we get in these things, we've done it here, and it's like, I wish we wouldn't have done it years ago, but now we're setting precedent, but it's gotta stop sometime. I had a guy the other day that wants to come work for me, and God, he probably knows more about the tech, about the stuff, but I can't afford him.
Mm.
To get him in here, I'm paying, and I would love to have him, make my job easier, but my budget doesn't allow it because it's in my department, and I'd like to see you guys make more. Of course, you're different because you mandated so much by the state, so. And I'd like to see us to get
But
a
it's still
little
being
more.
smart about it, right? Bottom
Yeah,
line.
yeah. Like I said, I'm not against, I might vote for this, but I just haven't made my mind. I'm gonna listen to my other commissioners, but I would like to see at the timing or something, if we could come up for a better solution to get that first hired.
And I don't know, I mean, like I said, that's one of the concerns. Obviously, we have standard eight. I don't know that standard eight allows for legacy costs bonuses after
Right.
6
I know,
months, things
I
like
know.
that, and whether that falls into our existing budget or
But a
not, I mean,
bonus,
that's above my pay grade.
a bonus is considered part of your wages. You do have to take
Yeah,
some security and
but
everything in there.
I prefer to pay a wage.
Yeah.
I mean, I prefer how it is perceived as
Mhm.
paying a wage that's appropriate to a person's level as opposed to giving them a bonus 6 months.
But I
out.
don't know what's
And
appropriate.
I think it would be harder
Superseding the process.
from my standpoint.
We have this process in place. And so I said precedent, but really it's a process like any company. When you go out to hire people and you find someone with experience over the wage rate, you bring it up to your boss and their boss and you get approval. So it's a process that we do here, which actually, although it involves voting, is very similar to the private process for hiring. So.
And I want that person, I don't want to tell you to get that person in there, but I know with the temperament of the board right now, it might not go through with this thing if we go through it.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see timing. Great.
The timing
You're
is this
fully in
bad.
your right to bring this forward. You followed the process, as Commissioner Sweeney says.
Yeah,
And
I don't know, don't want you to get the
Right,
wrong
it's just-
opinion.
No, and
I gotta look at the bigger stuff, and
Sure.
and if we can do this, I would, you know what I'm saying?
And I think to piggyback off of one of Nicole's comments is, saying or bringing up the aspect of bringing in one person higher than what everybody else has started at and whether that
Mhm.
causes, I think doing it as a bonus or a legacy cost would be worse in that
Infuriating.
situation because then all of a sudden, well, you're giving a bonus to this person for staying 6 months. We're a relatively new department. We've only been there for 4.5 years. So everyone else has been there a shorter period of time and they'd say, well, where's my 6 month bonus? Where's my 6 month bonus? Why didn't everybody get that? I think that would cause more questions than anything else. The other thing we have to consider is, starting October 1st, not only do we have standard 8, we have caseload standards. We're likely going to lose at least one attorney on the contract this year who's gonna retire. I already know that for a fact. That will leave us with one attorney on the contract. Myself and my chief assistant are going to a job fair on February 7th, down at one of the law schools. I was actually gonna ask you if we had like a table runner, maybe
do,
with the county.
we do,
Okay,
We do.
because we're
I
gonna.
don't know where it's packed up.
Sure, sure. And we were gonna try and recruit people to the contract. Some
Yeah.
people coming out of law school do just wanna hang a shingle and go into their own private practice.
Well, I know.
It's,
You do have, the problem is working for public service for so many years, you get your student loan paid, that's.
Yes.
And
you get that on the contract
once
too.
you get your deal and they're gonna leave regardless, so
Mhm.
I know that's an issue with some of the.
Yeah.
I'm still,
Not-
I got mine forgiven.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, that's regardless of whether you're a county employee or on the contract.
Right,
So-
nothing against that, but I'm
Yeah.
saying some people are gonna leave regardless of what
Yeah.
you do
Sure.
to them.
But I think the big conversation we're having right now, the process that we have in place values the credential of a new hire, right? But the conversation I'm hearing, we want to value longevity of a long-term employee. So, I mean, I think, we've got to move that battleship if we want to correct this.
That's my thing,
What we're doing isn't what we're saying.
I wish we wouldn't have to make the decisions. No, seriously, because
Well,
I don't know the internals of your stuff, that's kind of your
Yeah.
job.
Yeah,
but that's,
I've dealt with
that's
this-
why he
I've
comes
dealt with
here
this
to
green-
plead his internals and plead his case to the decision makers.
But if he had more options to do that within his department. And I hope when we do the job study, and I know you've heard this before, but we're gonna look at total department.
We are.
Because of efficiencies and those are,
We've also had
That's
over $1
what-
million in lapsed wages last year, and
Yeah.
I worry if giving over total control of a department budget and hiring and setting wages, if that gets used up to entice, right? Then all of a sudden, we don't have lapsed wages and we don't have the staff. So that would be and that's
We
an
could
even
get-
bigger conversation.
well, we get it, yeah, we could get it, like I said, we've kind of been through some of this before. And then again, the wages are the majority of the expenses, so.
By far.
So if you're getting somebody and that's where we can look at departments, and I know. And it's just it's not cutting people, it's just being more efficient and having a better understanding or paying people more for when they need it and less, if you don't need it, so. It's not, I know I'm sounding like it. I just don't think we need to look at the system. I just think it's, like I said, I know every part of my operation. And I don't know, I look at your numbers and everything, but, I'm not there every day. I don't know, if you got people that need to pay more because they do more work, I'm all for that. So, like I said, I'm not against this and I'm not one way, I'm just telling you what I'm hearing out there.
No, it's just good feedback.
And I caught this morning coming in here, I caught a thing, well, this guy was complaining about when our jail, where we're taking people from other people for jail. I said, well, you got to keep it full and everything. Now he's complaining because the jail's not full. And it's like, you just told me that shit. I explained it to you, that's like a restaurant business, but that's, you know what I'm saying?
Well, and there's those folks, right?
And these are the people we gotta convince because they have influence within the community, and I'm not, like I said, I'm more concerned about perception at this point.
Understood, but I'm sure
And I
they
understand,
don't want the perception to be that we have bottom of the barrel employees or that,
no,
we're not competitive. We've got to have excellent.
and like I said, you're under budget, I don't have any problem with this, it's just. So,
And
I got a week to consider.
yeah, and I mean, it goes back to, we've been talking about this attorney shortage for
Yeah,
how many years now? I mean, like I said, with the contract, we're down to 2.
Yeah.
Very close to being down to 1.
Yeah.
And that's that's hitting the panic button.
But it's, yeah, it's not only
And you can get
attorneys,
a local
it's
person.
mechanics,
But I mean, but
it's everywhere. I mean, I'm telling you, it's.
yeah, and I agree, but in order to function as a court, as a public defender's office, as a prosecutor's office,
And we got a different
it's a big
situation on yours because, you know, where you get majority of your funding through the state, we have to dance to those.
We have a case right now where we can't find an attorney for somebody.
No.
I mean, we're reaching outside the county. We've had, I
I'm all
think
in.
2 people turn us down. We're struggling.
If we have to look for money in the future, there are gonna be departments that are gonna have to run as is because of state mandates and just.
Well, you look what happened in Gratiot.
Needs of
They were, Gratiot was Gratiot where they sued us.
I'm gonna have to,
Prosecutor sued the board. Was it Gratiot or Claire? Claire. I knew where they could do their job. So.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah,
I sent my tax bill out today, so. It's another reason that I consider. But I'm all for it to move this forward. I'm not, like I said, I don't want to go there. It's just we're dealing with trying to get this village passed, which is gonna be a heavy lift, and the timing just is tough,
And you're right.
so I'll consider.
Hmm.
I'm not against this proposal, I'm just wishing timing's difficult for me.
Maybe there's and maybe something like this can't work, but maybe this is the hire and this is if you stay for 6 months or a year, then that's the bump.
I would,
Instead of at the beginning,
yeah.
maybe.
I'm just suggesting that you have
I
an
think that
alternate.
goes back to that bonus where now you're alongside someone and they're getting a bump and I'm not.
And we don't know with standard 8, these wages may change in October. I don't know. We have a brand new regional manager for MIDC, Ms. Klimaszewski retired at the end of the year. Our new regional director, his name's Matt Lozen. He was the Sanilac County Public Defender. I personally don't know him. He just started yesterday. But there are 2 things we don't know. Number one, I understand the state's going through a wage study right now. So are MIDC going to change the rates? I can probably guarantee that the hourly rates for contract attorneys are going to increase on October 1st. I would imagine that the standard 8 saying they have to be, comparable to the AG's office, probably going to change October 1st as well. The other thing that goes along with that is, like I said, those caseload standards, we don't know what those mean yet. I know the commission asked at the meeting back in August or July and said, well, just, 150 felonies, does that mean calendar year? Does that mean fiscal year? Does that mean a 12-month rolling average? What does it mean? And the staff at MIDC kind of looked at the commission and said, that's your job to tell us. So we don't know what that means yet. But
remind me again, what's our percentage match with MIDC?
so our local share is $240,306.09.
What, 1.2, is that, am I wrong on that?
Numbers. No, it's 1 point. So this year, local share, which hasn't changed, is $240,306.09. The money from the state is $1,773,850.63. There's a lot of comments there.
Yeah, right.
Good deal.
And hopefully if they raise the per hour rate, they'll be allowing that number to increase this year. State mandating
That's
wages.
the hope because they're saying our share will stay the same, right?
Correct.
That's been the promise,
That's the
so.
promise, so that's what we're hoping for.
Yeah,
And
they're throwing these standards.
And then that would
Yeah.
not be like I said, it's in the budget. Like I said, the money part, I'm not having a problem, it's just how we perceive it.
And I don't, from this,
Yeah,
from going forward at this point, we said standard 6 and 7 are going into effect. October first. They've been passed. We have to have in our new compliance plan due at the end of April. We have to have a plan that encompasses standard 6 and 7. So both attorney caseloads as well as, standards and qualifications of attorneys. I don't anticipate us requiring any additional funding to comply with those standards. I've kind of run the numbers for, 150 felonies. I think it's 300 or 400 misdemeanors per attorney. I don't anticipate requiring at this point needing to increase staff or anything like that. So I don't at this point anticipate, like I said, MIDC hasn't told us what those numbers are, whether it's calendar year, fiscal year, rolling 12-month average. But based on our current numbers, I don't anticipate needing to ask for another attorney or anything like that.
Right, but that's considering we are replacing this one and.
Correct.
And replacing a retired one.
What,
Well, that's contract.
Oh, that's contract. Okay.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah.
Contract, we have a struggle right now. And part of that, I don't know for sure is, before it was, we paid $300 a case, $75 an hour for motions, $400 a day for trial, and every county had a different system how they paid their public defenders. Now it's kind of standardized. So it's the 120 an hour for misdemeanors, 135, 150. So we don't have an advantage to someone from Midland coming to our contract. We don't have an advantage to draw someone from Clare because they're getting paid the same there. Why would they come here? So it's trying to get people that want to either reside here or practice here or whatever, but we don't have that draw from another county anymore by providing more or having different benefits, whatever. If everybody's paying the same, everybody's gonna stay local. Do it where they don't have to travel.
Right.
I'll make a motion to bring this forward. Move to bring forward to the Board of Commissioners meeting the authorization of Isabella County Public Defender to fill the position of a misdemeanor level assistant public defender at a higher than starting rate base upon qualifications of the proposed new hire.
I support that. Any more discussion? Seeing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Vote the same. We'll move that forward to work session.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thanks.
Thanks
Yeah,
for the
thank you.
conversation.
Absolutely.
good discussion.
Stop it, yeah. Okay. Next up is consider approving the discontinuation of $15 for animal adoption fee collected by Isabella County effective immediately. Before we get into this, why is this in ours?
Well, it's in yours and I did call chairman to figure that out. And we struggled with it, right? But jurisdictionally, and this was back even when
Because it's county.
animal control was under administration before sheriff so graciously
Took over.
accepted
Oh,
the animal.
So.
That jurisdiction was still your committee. Now, the HAPS contract is on the finance agenda for later this morning, but that's because admin is bringing that forward.
I saw
But we
that.
struggled with that and I talked to chairman about it and he said, well, does everything financial have to go to finance, just because it's financial?
Well.
Nope. So we placed it here, sir.
As long as I'm in one of those moods, we'll get on the soapbox again. I thought this may be too much goes through financial.
Good, we'll hear this,
Sometimes financial acts like an executive committee. Financial should be making sure the bills are paid, making sure the numbers are correct. And to make decisions based on policy should go from the whole board. It's not like we have a 20-person board, which I've had. We had executive committees and everything, so I know I mentioned this in the last administrator with no place, but often sometimes I made the comment before that why maybe I shouldn't even be chairperson or of this committee if we're not gonna, some of the stuff should have went to this committee instead of going to finance.
well, I hope that you're seeing this change then.
It is getting a little better, but
Yeah.
it's just personal opinion and
Mhm.
just because some of the other organizations I worked in, we've never, finance committee, unless you're doing an executive committee where they make, there's a difference between, and I've served them executive committees before where they make, but that's because you have such a big group and you have to be fastly moving.
Yeah.
Where we'll have 7 directors, so it's any policy decision, even though it's financial, should, that, okay, like I said, you just caught me in a mood.
No, this is great because I've been inclined, anything I bring forward, any staff report I write, I always take to finance because it's finance and administration. Because I'm bringing it forward as administration, right?
Okay.
But now you're making me think, and maybe that's not always the way, but
When I served on finance, it was always to make sure that the procedure of finance auditing, of course, we had an audit committee too, which I was on and created, but anything that has to deal with policy, even though it has to deal with money, if it's a policy, it should go to the whole board. It does come to the whole board eventually.
in our system, yeah.
Yeah, in our system, and we vote on it, but I just always thought it was kind of strange that, and a couple of stuff should have been through our committee or Jim's committee before that went to finance and
I
don't
do
know
know
if you
we
noticed-
had,
I don't know if you noticed that or not, at times, there's not a lot.
I notice that things that I feel should be going through other committees are going through there just because it's approving a salary or a purchase. And I have not said anything about it. Cause more or less I sit back and watch how things are, processed first.
Mhm.
yeah,
I still feel young in this position.
I think, but you're not the newbie anymore.
You're not,
From your agenda this morning, I
Yeah.
think you can see, I think
that,
that's
you did brought
changing.
this through here, yeah.
I feel like last summer, last fall, we probably had some confusion because when the prosecuting attorney came forward with some wage requests, those went to finance. And the reason they went to finance is because PA deviated from his budget request and finance was already looking at budget, already looking at that
Mhm.
request. So I think that then wage requests started to go to, and no, that's not the case. Those need to go back to the jurisdictional committee. So I don't know if that's what you're referencing, but I do think we've corrected that and I think it's coming back to committees.
That goes to my earlier point where we're making wage decisions on too many. I'm just,
Mhm.
I'm not sure, but again, I just seem like we're doing a lot of time on wage adjustments. And
Mhm. Well,
is that a policy or is that, the board should be two main purposes of the board is one, to monitor the financial, the other one's to set policy.
Mhm.
And we get too much in the operating of the business. It always, that doesn't end well because we don't know enough what we're
Sure.
doing. I mean,
I
I
think
don't spend
this,
enough time to know what's the inner workings.
what's on your agenda, the request to hire at a higher rate than start is a board
Out of
function
policy.
because you're the only one that has that authority. Now, we can stop those from going to the full board at committee.
No.
I can stop those
it's a
from getting
strange-
on the agenda, but I've been more of that,
Open
it
up.
should go forward if a department head elected is willing to ask for that. So I think if we need to take a look at that policy, we can. Now, as far as reclassification requests, those I'm a grade this and should be a grade that. Our policy says we'll send those out to a third party professional to determine.
That's great.
And right now, we don't have that.
I think this would be a
ability.
good discussion during our planning session.
I think so too.
I mean, this is.
I'm gonna make a
I
note
don't-
of that, no.
I don't have any ideas on this, but these are stuff that we should be talking. I'm just confused that sometimes how we work, even though I've been here for a long time now, I'm still confused on how
Well,
the
let's
system
talk about
works.
it
I
then.
figure it takes 2 years to figure out the system, but I'm still working on 6 years. I'm still trying to figure out the system, so. Maybe I'm just slow. You think so?
Oh, no.
We're
It's
being
it
recorded.
probably doesn't have anything to do with any of the chemicals.
I want to
we
get you
breathe.
on record.
All right.
Hey. You set that up so beautifully.
So she has been so patient.
I'm sorry.
You know that Miss Amanda Tillotson, the Executive Director of the Humane Animal Treatment Society, has joined us on Zoom. Amanda, it does look like you are muted, but we can see you just fine. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? Excellent. Excellent. Thank you for your patience.
No problem. Well, I can chime in whenever, or you can just ask me some questions if you've already had some time to read this, if you have any questions.
I don't have any questions about this, but since you're new to us, yeah, I'm just kind of considering how a reduction would affect how you operate your, out there at the animal control. I mean, I know we have what is that called? A no-kill policy? Is that?
No kill shelter.
Yes, that's what it is. And I'm trying to, when I'm out talking to people, I'm saying, I said that the cost of running a no-kill compared to the other one would be more, wouldn't it? People ask
Amanda can speak.
me the question, huh?
I
I think-
probably would have to see the numbers, because I assume with the alternative shelter, you still need a vet has to do the procedure.
And disposal.
I'm just
and the
trying to
disposal, right,
promote,
but
you need to tell me, promote, so when I'm out there talking about your programs, I need to do it, even though I know a little bit about the stuff, but I'm not. I know you do this spaying, I know you're in no-kill facilities, but can you kind of tell me? Doesn't have to be a long one, but just some stuff that when I'm out there promoting county policies.
Yeah.
You want
Mhm.
that I'm talking that services could not be as good as they are now, so.
Yeah, and I would say that the amount of services that we can provide working in partnership is far greater than if we weren't working together. So that's a big piece of it. So obviously, yes, you were kind of on track that it certainly probably does cost us more to operate a shelter where we're focusing on life-saving and medical care and adoption for the animals versus just being a holding facility, and only holding animals for a certain amount of time and euthanizing. That's essentially what it was many, many years ago. So now our focus is on what you would call as many positive outcomes as possible, meaning adoptions, return to owners, things like that. And the costs associated with that are obviously a little bit higher because we're giving every animal basic medical care like vaccines, heartworm testing, or FIV, FELV testing for cats, obviously spay and neuter surgery with our on-site clinic here, which is a huge piece of what we do. I always say we would just be spinning our wheels if we weren't spaying and neutering every animal, because stopping that cycle and reducing overpopulation is a huge part of what we do. And as I said, we're working together. HATS is able to come in and provide those additional services to reduce animal overpopulation and adopt more animals versus just being an animal control holding facility.
Okay, I kind of knew that, but I just, like I said, we're out there. The questions I'm getting about, I want to know all the county services and provided, because people need to understand that consequences if we do not pass will be, it'll put us back 10, 15 years and long time to get back to where we're at. So
Yeah, awesome.
just.
Yeah, I would say there's definitely an expectation out there now that a lot of people want their community shelter to be no-kill or be striving towards that. And I don't think anybody would want that going backwards.
Yeah, while we're having these conversations with all the departments, if, the recycle center, even though we're in the middle of that, they could really throw a wrench in that whole process. So anyways, I don't have any questions on this. I'm sorry for taking your extra time to have to listen to me.
No, I I'm glad to answer any questions. I hope my request is clear and pretty straightforward. I think one of the my biggest reasons for this are, one, the record keeping aspect of it has gotten to be quite a burden between us and the other parties that are doing record keeping on the county side of things. There's a lot of back and forth and administrative time wasted collecting and reimbursing these fees. And also by removing that, I think we can all save ourselves time and money. But the other piece of that too is with our upcoming contract proposal that will be presented later today, we are not slated to see any increase in our contracted amount this year. Generally, I think at every contract renewal that I've been a part of, we usually see a slight increase at every contract to help account for inflation and increased costs and whatnot. Obviously, with the current state of things, that was not very doable on the county's side of things right now. This would allow us to receive a slight boost in our annual income to account for some of our increased expenses that we are going to see this year.
I have one more questions. Like I said, it's another thing of understanding their business, which I
Yeah.
cannot.
Good talking points.
It is,
Related.
it is.
About how many adoptions do you have a year?
Per year? So let's see, I'm working on compiling all the numbers from last year right now. Our intakes will be just under 1,000, and then adoptions will probably be somewhere between about 500-600. So the gap in between there accounts for like animals that are returned to owner, are still in the facility, transferred, things like that.
Thank you. I'm done.
All right.
Thank God.
Done or just?
No.
Okay.
I guess I was just confused at what the receipt crosstabs were in the attachment.
So that is the report. That's just the name of the report in the software we use. Our program is called Pet Point. That is the report that is pulled every month by the staff at the sheriff's office to look at what we've collected during a time period for different categories of the items we charge. So
are those county funds or that you're paying back? Because there can't be total.
Only some.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can't pull the report without having all of these items listed on here. I mean, what you're looking at in terms of the $15, you're just looking at that top category of adoption fee. That is the total amount we've collected based on that $15 fee. In the each report is pulled for a calendar year. Now, the other items below that are completely separate things. Some of those things are still going back to Isabella County, like anything that says licenses and services are also fees that we're collecting for Isabella County that are being reimbursed. Now, I'm not asking to change anything there because if we're selling a dog license, we're still going to reimburse that. If we're collecting boarding fees, we're still going to reimburse that. Those are a little bit fewer, far between though. The adoption fees take up quite a bit more daily paperwork.
I would point out that same information shows the uptick in our treasurer's office of selling dog licenses, right? We've heard about that in recent years. You see that here when our animal control secretary retired, sheriff did not fill that position. Animal control went to the sheriff. you can see licenses, sales went way down at the shelter, right? So just kind of.
Yeah, the
show-
licensed sales on here are just the ones that we're including with dog adoption. So yeah, that would be, that didn't even stand out to me because I wasn't really looking at that when I pulled this, but yeah, there is a huge difference there.
Right, okay, so that is
Correct.
just the fees that go back to the county.
Yes.
Is-
Yeah,
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 top line.
okay.
Yep.
All right, I'll make a motion to bring this forward to the Board of Commissioners meeting to approve the discontinuation of the $15 per animal adoption fee collected by Isabella County effective immediately.
I will support that. Is there any other discussion? Seeing none, we'll vote. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
I,
Opposed, the same. That has passed. We'll move that forward to the work session. Thank you,
Thank you.
Director
Amanda.
Tillotson.
thank you.
thank you.
Okay, that brings us up to announcements. I'm quiet. Okay, we won't bring any soil stuff or any of that. I'll make those numbers later, so. One last call to the public. Is everybody online?
There is not at this time, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, I will close the call to the public and I will adjourn the meeting. Thank you.
Thanks.